Welcome ladies and gentlemen to the 43rd installment of my YGO Duel Links Best Deck series. Today I'm going to be showing you a deck entirely built around Archfiends. If you like the video, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, I do a new video guide every week, and without further ado, let's get into the video. Alright, so here's the deck list. The best skill for the deck is Restart, as there's no real good skill for Archfiends, so it's best just to run the most consistent skill in the game. It can also be pretty good considering this deck is very starting hand reliant. If you don't have the good combination of monsters and trap cards in your starting hand, most of the time this deck will just lose. This deck does rely heavily on having cards in your graveyard, so if you don't have any cards in your starting hand to put cards in the graveyard, you'll find the deck will just run out of steam way too quickly, or will not be able to ever get any boss monsters out on the board. Normally when going through the deck list, I'd talk about cards that you can swap out and remove for other cards if you don't have like the Sphere Kuribohs for example, but with this deck list, there's not really anything that I can offer exchanges for. There's no backline to swap out for cheaper backline or anything, because this deck doesn't run any backline, it only runs its own specific cards that are built for this kind of archetype. And the monsters itself, well, if you remove any of them, the deck is just strictly worse, as each of them do have their own unique effect and synergize with the deck. Alright, now I'm going to talk about the strategy behind the deck and basically just how it functions. Don't worry if you don't get this part of the video. At the end of the video there'll be 3 to 5 gameplays basically just showing the deck off in action, so it's not really that hard to understand how it works once you've seen it played a few times. The deck strategy is pretty simple. There are 2 trap cards in the deck that are used to bring back Archfiend monsters from your graveyard, Call of the Archfiend and Archfiend's Roar, and then you have 2 powerful boss monsters that are the ones you're going to target to bring back from the graveyard. Archfiend Emperor, the First Lord of Horror, and Archfiend Empress. Call of the Archfiend does this by simply sending 1 Fiend type monster from your hand to the graveyard to bring back 1 Archfiend monster which is level 5 or higher, which is both your boss monsters. And Archfiend's Roar is a little bit different. What Archfiend's Roar does is it brings back 1 Archfiend monster from your graveyard, but the Archfiend monster that it brings back will be destroyed during the end phase. So normally you want to target something like Archfiend Cavalry, which when Archfiend Cavalry is destroyed, you can bring back 1 Archfiend monster from your graveyard, or Archfiend Empress, which also has the same effect, where if it is destroyed, you can bring back one of your Archfiend monsters. So having these 2 trap cards in the deck is the main reason you run Needlebug Nest, as you do need cards in your graveyard to be able to activate their effects. So just a quick tip about activating these cards. Most of the time, the best time to activate them is during your opponent's end phase, as this stops your monsters being targeted by your opponent's effects. It also means that during the battle phase, your opponent isn't going to just enemy control one of your monsters and kill you with it. Even if it costs you a little bit of life points by your opponent hitting you with a 1900 attack monster or something, it's better to just leave your monsters in the graveyard until the end phase. Alright, so now I'll talk about the 2 boss monsters. So Archfiend Emperor has 2 effects. The first, it can be normal summoned without tributing, but when it is done so, it is destroyed during the end phase and its attack and defense is halved. This effect is generally used when you want to put Archfiend Emperor in the graveyard, obviously for when you want to res it using your 2 trap cards, but it can also be used to put Archfiend Emperor on the board so you can use its secondary effect. Its secondary effect is that once per turn you can banish 1 Archfiend card from your hand or graveyard, then target 1 card on the field and destroy that target. So keep in mind it's Archfiend card, not Archfiend monster, so you can use it with either of your Archfiend traps as well. So once you've activated Archfiend's Roar for example and brought back Archfiend's Emperor, you can then use the Archfiend's Roar as part of Archfiend Emperor's effect. Archfiend Empress also has 2 effects. The first, if exactly 1 face-up Dark Fiend type monster on the field except this card would be destroyed, you can remove from play 1 Dark Fiend type monster from your graveyard instead. So basically it can be used as a shield to protect any of your Archfiend monsters you've got on the board, including another copy of Archfiend Empress. The only card it cannot protect is itself. The secondary effect of this card is that when it is destroyed and sent from the field to the graveyard, you can target 1 level 6 or higher Dark Fiend type monster in your graveyard, except Archfiend Empress, and special summon it. So this includes Archfiend Emperor. The most important thing to note about this effect is that it synergizes very well with Archfiend's Roar, so not only can you send Archfiend Cavalry to the graveyard during your end phase, Archfiend's Roar can also destroy your Archfiend Empress to bring out your Archfiend Emperor. So just one last thing to note about the deck. Sphere Kuriboh isn't just in the deck for its effect, it's also a Dark Fiend type monster, so it synergizes with all the other cards in the deck. Alright guys, that's pretty much it for the talking part of this video. Like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. I do a new guide every week. Stick around if you want to see gameplay of this deck in action. There should be 1 to 5 gameplays. Also check out my website, link will be in the description. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.